Hello and welcome. An important document from Pakistan's Senate, the upper chamber of the legislature, has revealed how Pakistan devised a strategy to hit out at Prime Minister Narendra Modi and India in the weeks after the surgical strike of 2016. Now, this report was presented in Pakistan's Senate in late 2016, and it clearly shows how Pakistan developed cold feet. The report mentions the policy guidelines for Pakistan, where it spelt out ways to tackle their fear of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Senate report claims how minorities and Dalits in India are being alienated, attempting to highlight their claims to counter Narendra Modi. The report outlines the intent to target the RSS ideology. Not only that, Pakistan also strategized to reach out to those opposed to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's policies, which includes political parties, media, civil society organizations and others. All this to promote anti-Modi sentiments. And my colleague Karthikeya Sharma now joins me on the phone line. Karthikeya, walk us through the big takeaways from this Senate report, which focuses on Narendra Modi and his personality and policies.
See, it's a report of 2016, as you mentioned, but I think it reflects the way Pakistan has formulated its policy vis-a-vis certain social complexities of India. Now, if you just look at the word minorities and the inclusion of the word Dalit into it, and the mentioning of the fact that, you have insurgency related to Maoists. So it's a position whereby Pakistani Senate is saying that we need to exploit these potentials to weaken the Indian state. So it just tells us, Ramesh, that, how much you try to smoothen the relations between Pakistan and India, it will not happen unless and until the message is sent to them that the cost of being involved with India in a position like this, which involves terrorism hits, will be far higher than by keeping away. And it also reflects our weakness that we have not been, Ramesh, able to send that message across. It's easier to blame the other, but I think it's also a sad reality that we have not been able to send this message across, and this gets reflected in a public document like this. So it should really worry India, because Pakistan really doesn't care two hoots about whether how strongly we feel about the acts of terrorism against us or what the world has to say.
And also talking about this report itself, Karthikeya, as you mentioned in your intervention there, the report mentions the policy guidelines for Pakistan, where it spells out ways to tackle their fear of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Senate report also claims how minorities and Dalits in India are being alienated, attempting therefore to highlight their claims to counter Narendra Modi. Now, what do you make of some of these references in that report?
For me, it just it's a very clear signal that, it's like saying, do we have any report like this from Parliament Standing Committee of Defence or External Affairs or Home saying that these are the problems of Pakistan and we need to exploit it? It just goes to show that the terrorism is a state policy. It is supported by the Pakistani army, and it is the inability of the successive political dispensation in India to send a right and strong message across. We just have been responding to the crisis like Operation Parakram in context of the attack which took place in the Indian Parliament. But we have not been in the kinetic response, as some of the experts have said. We are always in context of a reaction. 48, 1962, 1965, it is always a reaction. It is not a kinetic response like Israel, who have been responding to emerging threat scenarios. Ramesh, imagine the way they got Eichmann after he fled Europe in 1950. 60, he was caught. Or the Wrath of God operation, which was launched after 11 Israelis were massacred in Munich. Or the way they counted Iranians when they were trying to build a bomb. Or the way they went after Swiss scientists in the 1960s when Abdul Gamal Nasser was the president of Egypt and wanted rockets. Why? No rockets from Egypt landed in Tel Aviv, but they nipped it in the bud. And I think that's the point I was trying to make, that that's where India has failed to tackle Pakistan, that it feels so emboldened that a thing like this gets written in an official publication of the Senate report.
Right, so as Karthikeya was pointing out, he was talking about a 2016 Pakistani Senate Committee's report, which has references to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's personality and policies, and how the government of the day wanted to counter the Modi policy, especially with regard to Pakistan. On that note, Karthikeya, thank you for that update. Appreciate it. Right, moving on, Indian security forces have directly blamed the Pakistani army for the deadly attack on a CRPF convoy that killed 40 personnel on the 14th of February in Pulwama in Jammu and Kashmir. In a joint press conference in Srinagar hosted by the army, CRPF and the Jammu and Kashmir police this morning, the security officials said that there was no doubt that the Pakistani army directly controlled the Jaish-e-Mohammed terror group, which carried out the deadly suicide attack on the CRPF convoy on the 14th.
पाकिस्तान आर्मी जैश-ए-मोहम्मद पाकिस्तान आर्मी का ही एक बच्चा है। जैश-ए-मोहम्मद को पाकिस्तान आर्मी ही कंट्रोल कर रही है और ऐसे ही कंट्रोल कर रही है। और जैसे कि आपने कल जैश-ए-मोहम्मद का रिलीज भी देखा होगा, उन्होंने ये कबूला भी है कि उनका चीफ ऑपरेशंस कमांडर जो है इस हमले में मारा गया है। तो पाकिस्तान आर्मी का इन्वॉल्वमेंट इसमें 100% है। इसमें मेरे को और आपको किसी को कोई शक नहीं है।
Now, speaking to media, Kashmir's top police official said that the entire Jaish leadership in the Kashmir Valley had been eliminated within 100 hours after the Pulwama terror attack. The officers also appealed to the locals and especially the mothers to make their sons surrender if they had taken up arms.
I would also like to tell one thing to the parents of the local youth, especially the mothers, because I understand and I know in a Kashmiri society, mother has a great role to play. Through you, I would request all the mothers of Kashmir to please request their sons who have joined terrorism to surrender and get back to the mainstream. Anyone who has picked up gun in Kashmir will be eliminated unless he surrenders. And this is a message and a request to all the mothers. Please tell your children to surrender. There is a very good surrender policy being initiated by the government so that they can join the mainstream and pursue with their life.
Remember, two Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists, the masterminds of the attack on the CRPF convoy, were killed in an operation in Jammu and Kashmir's Pulwama on Monday. 4 soldiers were also martyred in the operation, which lasted 12 hours. On Thursday, 40 CRPF personnel were killed in a deadly attack on a convoy in Pulwama's Avantipora area. Meanwhile, thousands paid their last respects to Major V.S. Dondial, who lost his life in an encounter in Pulwama on Monday. Major Dondial's body was brought to his hometown of Dehradun in the Uttarakhand state. Major Dondial was leading a unit of Rashtriya Rifles, which had fought a fierce gun battle with the terrorists in the Pulwama district. Major Dondial joined the army in the year 2010. He is survived by his wife, mother, grandmother, and 3 sisters.